Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, this is John Paval here with this week's Access Arts Live roundup of orchestral and operatic productions. What we call big stage productions because they take place on a big stage. For the week of October 27th to November 2nd, we have such a full schedule to tell you about this week. I don't know how I'm going to get through all of it in our usual half hour's time. I will do my best. We've got top conductors like Tabita Berglund, Kirill Petrenko, Thierry Fischer. We've got top soloists like the cellist Sol Gabetta and a host of pianists and other violinists. We've got orchestras from Moscow to Helsinki to Bournemouth to Detroit, Michigan, where I was born and raised. We've got a Mozart Requiem in Munich. We've got opera in Vienna, Pélias et Mélisande, and more and more. So, and you can see photos of all of these assembled people who are going to be doing it paired off or individually right there beside me. But let me get on quickly to the beginning, to the first of today's cases. And that is with the dynamic Thierry Fischer wielding the baton. Top conductor Thierry Fischer leads the Bournemouth Symphony in Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 25 with pianist Paul Lewis and Tchaikovsky's Manfred Symphony, Wednesday, October 29th. That's that fine Bournemouth Symphony, which keeps churning out highly interesting live streams. And they have sold, according to them, 95,000 live stream tickets. Individual concerts cost £11 for the viewing pleasure of over 150,000 people. So I think that's marvelous and a great achievement that other orchestras could think about matching. Although we're even happier when they live stream free of charge. Anyway. Thierry Fischer, I almost never talk about him because I'm always mentioning him when he's conducting the Sao Paulo Symphony Orchestra, which he's been doing since January 2020. I just say, well, he's the chief conductor. But he's also the chief conductor of the Orchestra Sinfónica de Castilla y León since 2022. And he's a music director emeritus of the Utah Symphony, where he was for like 15 years. And for about 6 years back in the early 2000s, he was principal conductor of the BBC National Orchestra of Wales, which meant he was at the BBC proms every year. So, and he works with the Ensemble Intercontemporain in Paris, with the London Sinfonietta, with the Chamber Orchestra of Europe, and with the Swedish Chamber Orchestra. So these are all top outfits to be working with. The soloist Paul Lewis, well, here's some of the awards he's received. The Royal Philharmonic Society's Instrumentalist of the Year, 2 Edison Awards, 3 Gramophone Awards, the Diapason d'Or yearly prize, and the Preis der deutschen Schallplattenkritik, which I love to pronounce. And he was named the commander of the Order of the British Empire back in 2016 at the Queen's birthday honors. 2 top guys leading a top UK symphony, playing an interesting program, Mozart Piano Concerto and Tchaikovsky. Oh, and you know, Tchaikovsky was a great admirer of Mozart. I know that seems odd, because their music is so different from each other. But actually, you can sometimes find that Tchaikovsky stole entire melodies from Mozart and then, blew them up into Tchaikovsky's romanticism. So we move on then to, I think there are a couple concerts coming out of Finland this week. Yes. Up-and-coming director Neil Venditti conducts the Lahti Symphony of Finland in the cinematic sonorities of Sigfúsdóttir's Ocean and Mozart's Sinfonia Concertante and Schumann's Spring Symphony No. 1, Thursday, October 30th. That'll be at 5:30 in the evening. It's kind of early European time, and 11:30 in the morning on the that'll be noon on the East Coast and 9:30 on the West Coast. The first piece they're doing, Ocean, is by an Icelandic composer who's the best known Icelandic composer of our time, whose name is, full name is Maria Huld Marka Sigfúsdóttir, which means Sigfús's daughter. That's what it sounds like, because sometimes it's not son among the Northerners. Sometimes it's somebody's daughter. And supposedly her music is very cinematic, which I think more and more symphonic compositions are reflecting the impact of cinematic music anyway. I don't see how you can avoid it. It's shaped all of our sensibilities. On the Mozart, the Sinfonia Concertante, there are solo violin and viola parts. They're played by members of the Lahti Symphony, Alexei Trigg on the violin and Kei Ito on the viola. As for Neil Venditti, she's Turkish or Italian Turkish, and she's the principal guest conductor of the Royal North Sinfonia and the chief conductor of the Kemal Reşit Rey Orchestra, which I'm guessing is a Turkish orchestra. This past season, she had debuts with the Finnish Radio Symphony, which is just down, just around the corner from the Lahti people, with the BBC Philharmonic. She was on tour with the Stuttgart Chamber Orchestra. She had her BBC Proms debut in 2024 with the National Orchestra of Wales, which Thierry Fisher used to take to the BBC Proms all the time some years ago. And she also conducts operas, everything from Mozart to contemporary operas. Then we move on to another Finnish orchestra. The Tapiola Sinfonietta. And their artist in residence, who is sort of climaxing her artist in residency now with this concert, as a matter of fact. Pianist Irina Zahharenkova plays the grand finale of her artistic residency with the Tapiola Sinfonietta, Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5, the Emperor Concerto, and Piano Concerto No. 6, which doesn't have a name, Thursday, October 30th. That Piano Concerto No. 6 is interesting, though, because it was originally a violin concerto. And then Beethoven took the music from it, and the violin only has one melody, whereas the piano has two. So he had to create the left hand to go with the right hand. I think it'd be interesting to compare the two of them if you're musicologically inclined or curious. Anyway, she's an Estonian pianist and a harpsichordist. About 20 years ago, from 2003 to 2006, she won a slew of prizes. If you look her up on Wikipedia, all you get is a list of like 10 or 12 prizes in those years. She's a product of the Estonian Music Academy and the Sibelius Academy, and she teaches at both of them now part-time. And she's been a soloist at some top festivals in her time, places like the Klavier Festival Ruhr, that's a big deal, and the Mendelssohn Festival in Germany, the Spoleto Festival, the Enescu Festival. She's played with some of the top orchestras she's played with were the Orchestra de la Suisse Romande, the Israeli Phil, the Helsinki Phil, the Prague Chamber Orchestra, the Estonian National Symphony Orchestra. So interesting concert by a top pianist whom you may not have heard of or may not have heard play live. The Tapiola Sinfonietta are pretty good. You notice I didn't mention a conductor there because the Tapiola Sinfonietta is like a chamber orchestra, and they don't necessarily have a conductor all the time. Although people do come in sometimes and conduct it, very often cellist. I don't know why. Oh, and let me show you a picture of the composer, that Icelandic composer. So you can see she looks very young, but with Nordics, they age very well. So that there's a photo of the Icelandic composer that I was telling you about with respect to the Lahti Symphony. It's all in Finland, you guys. So go with it. Now, the next concert we have to tell you about is Friday. There's a slew of concerts on Friday, just one after another after another. I don't know how you're going to choose between any of them. I guess it'll just be your personal inclination of what kind of music you like the best. And this next one, the earliest one on that evening, will be coming to us from Moscow, from the Moscow Philharmonic Society, because they start at 7:00 their time, which is 6:00 European time. Rising star conductor Ivan Nikiforshin conducts the Moscow State Symphony in Smetana's Ma Vlast, my homeland, Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade, and Franz Liszt Piano Concerto No. 2 with pianist Nikita Mundyoyans at the keyboard. Friday, October 31st, Halloween. If that Smetana poem is beautiful. If you don't know it, check it out, discover it. Nikiforshin, he's a young guy. He was appointed the artistic director of this orchestra, which is one of the more prominent orchestras in Russia, when he was only 29 years old. So he one of his claims famous, he won the first Rachmaninoff competition as a conductor. The Rachmaninoff competition has categories for pianists, conductors, and composers. And Nikita Mundyoyans is he's won a number of competitions. The Cleveland International Piano Competition about a decade ago, the Paderewski International Piano Competition in Poland even earlier, like 2 decades ago. He was a finalist at the Van Cliburn Piano Competition in the U.S. in 2013, and he's also a composer. And sometimes that enlarges the understanding of a pianist. Interesting concert. We go from that to another Russian, but he's not in Russia. A very energetic, dynamic guy who has just been installed at the Swedish Radio Symphony Orchestra as their new principal guest conductor. Friday, October 31st, Maxim Emelianichev at the keyboard will lead the Frankfurt Radio Symphony through Poulenc's concert Champetre for harpsichord, as well as Stravinsky's Pulcinella, Lully's Le Bourgeois Gentilhomme suite, and Rameau's Les Indes Galantes suite. This is the Frankfurt Radio Symphony Orchestra. As I mentioned, Emelianichev is now with the Swedish Radio Symphony Orchestra as a new principal guest conductor. He was conducting with them back in September. He started out conducting opera about a decade ago. He's been the principal conductor of the Scottish Chamber Orchestra since 2019, also the head guy at Il Pomodoro Baroque Orchestra since 2013, which kind of explains the connection that the guy really knows how to play the harpsichord, and he likes to conduct while he's playing at the same time. Is the concert that he conducted with the Swedish Radio Orchestra back in September, which was live streamed. Like I say, if you follow Access Arts Live, you see all of these people in live streams from month to month. You get to know them all. I'm getting to know a lot about an awful lot of conductors that I would never know about if I was just focused on the two cities where I live, which is Paris and Stockholm. Anyway, that concert in September with Swedish Radio was Mahler and Brahms. So this is an interesting concert. The idea is putting together Poulenc, who wrote this harpsichord concert, looking back at composers like Lully and Rameau, looking back at Baroque music. Also on Friday, there's more. There's just more and more of these concerts. The next one is with Nathalie Stutzmann, another dynamic conductor. And she won't be alone. She will be with a choir, a full-size choir. Nathalie Stutzmann conducts the Bavarian Radio Symphony in Wagner's Tannhäuser Overture, Strauss's Death and Transfiguration, and Mozart's Requiem with soloist and the Bavarian Radio Choir on Halloween night, October 31st. Boy, this is a lot to take on. Wagner's Tannhäuser, Strauss's Death and Transfiguration, which is like a tone poem for the entire orchestra. And then in the second half, do Mozart's Requiem in D minor, Herschel 626, as completed by Franz Xavier Süssmayer, because Mozart never finished it. The soloists, I don't have time to dig up photos of them, are Erika Baykoff, soprano, Fleur Baron, mezzo-soprano, Lunga Eric Hallam, tenor, and Lawson Anderson, bass baritone. If I get time later in the week, I'll do a separate write-up about this particular one where I tell you more about the soloist. Stutzmann, is a former celebrated alto or contralto, as some people call it. But now she's a conductor, and what she says is that she's no longer a singer at all. She says that conducting is, quote, as if 100 voices were singing inside me at once, unquote. So that must be extremely exciting for her. She's the music director of the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, second woman in history to lead a major American orchestra. And she was formerly principal guest conductor of the Philadelphia Orchestra, 2021 to 2024. She made a spectacular debut at the 2023 Bayreuth Festival, which is the big opera festival, with Wagner's Tannhäuser. So, her doing the Tannhäuser Overture, it's nothing new for her. She won Best Conductor of the Year at the 2024 Opera Awards, etc. So, top conductor doing great, majestic pieces. Can't go wrong. I should mention that's free of charge since it's the Bavarian Symphony Orchestra. Everything I've told you about so far is free of charge. We haven't found anything you have to pay for yet. And then we move on from this to Pierre Bleuse, this French conductor. I think that's what we're up to now. Yeah, and this superb cellist, who I really look forward to telling you about. That's Pierre Bleuse. He's a French conductor. I'm going to be telling you a little more about him shortly. And that is Sol Gabetta. It was just Terrific cellist. A lot of interesting things going on. Friday, October 31st, Pierre Bleuse of the Odense Symphony leads the Stuttgart SWR Symphony Orchestra in Veronelli's contemporary Tune and Return 2, Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, and with the superb cellist Sol Gabetta, Edward Lalo's Cello Concerto. That'll be at 8 o'clock in the evening, European time, and corresponding times in the U.S. Tell you briefly about Pierre Bleuse. He's been the principal conductor of the Odense Symphony Orchestra. Odense is in the center of Denmark. After Copenhagen, it's one of the main cities. I've been there a few times. And he has been there since 2021, and he's been extended through the rest of this season recently. He's also the music director of the Ensemble Intercontemporain in Paris since 2023. And earlier this year, an album that he recorded with that ensemble won the Diapason d'Or Album of the Year award. So he knows whereof he speaks when it comes to doing a contemporary piece of music like Veronelli's Tune and Retune number 2 for orchestra, which is composed in 2020. I don't have to tell you about Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, do I? No, but Sol Gabetta. She's doing 3 major residencies this year. First of all, she's done residencies with the Vienna Concert House, with the Staatskapelle in Dresden, with the Bamberg Symphony, with Radio France. This year, she's the focused artist at the Tonhalle Orchestra in Zurich, where she actually made her debut 20 years ago. And she'll be touring with them through the season under Pavel Järvi as the conductor. She'll also be performing with the Warsaw Phil this year and with the Gewandhaus Orchestra Leipzig. And she's just come up with a new album, which was inspired by the first female cello virtuoso, Lise Christiani. And she did a whole major research journey and all of that to become familiar with Lise Christiani and learn more about her and all of that. And Arte just put out a documentary about this this research project on her part. And I think I've got a magazine cover I wanted to show you, also talking about her. So she's been getting, a lot of this is an article in Gramophone about her album on this 19th century virtuoso whom she more or less rediscovered for all of us, Lise Christiani. So I can commend that to you. It just sounds fascinating, and she's very excited about it. She's got a Facebook page where you can go find out all about it. And you can watch the Arte documentary. If we have space, I'm going to give you the link to that Arte documentary. We're still on Friday night. There's another concert on Friday night coming from the Berlin Phil. And the inimitable, irreplaceable, perhaps, since 2019 anyway, chief conductor and AD of the Berlin Phil, Kirill Petrenko. Happy Halloween to ballet enthusiasts as Kirill Petrenko leads the Berlin Phil through dance music of the 20th century, including Janacek's Lachian dances, Stravinsky's Petrushka, and the ballet which was banned in Berlin for being too perverse, Bartók's The Miraculous Mandarin, Friday, October 31st. Yeah, the mayor of when the Miraculous Mandarin, after it premiered, the mayor of Berlin, who later went on to become the head of West Germany, Konrad Adenauer, one of the major figures of the post-World War II Germany. But this was back in the the 1920s, when the Miraculous Mandarin came out. But if you're a ballet enthusiast, I don't see how you do better than this. It's ballet music, which you don't. How often do you get to hear a full concert of that kind of music? Enjoy. Moving right along, we finally get to Saturday and a couple of concerts on Saturday night. The first is with these two guys, a very distinguished, long-time conductor and a violinist at the peak of his career. Tell you about it briefly. Leipzig's conductor Marek Janowski conducts the Cologne Phil this Saturday, November 1st, in Max Reger's Variations on a Theme by Mozart and Beethoven's Violin Concerto with violinist Frank Peter Zimmermann. That's the Beethoven Concerto in D major for violin and orchestra. And the full thing is Max Reger Variations in Fugue on a Theme by Mozart, Opus 132. Max Reger just found a catchy Mozart melody that he liked and said, "Oh, what the hell? I'll draw up a huge Variations in Fugue on it," and he did. Frank Peter Zimmermann, who's playing on the Beethoven Concerto, he was live streamed with Daniel Gotti conducting the La Scala Orchestra back in March 2025. Like I tell you, if you follow Access Arts Live, you see all these people again and again. And you can really enjoy, the whole global musical culture. He's been around for like 40 years. And this year he'll be with the Berlin Phil, the Boston Symphony, the Orchestra de Paris. He's doing a Paris residency with both the Orchestre Nationale de France and the Orchestre Philharmonique de France with Christian Macellaro and Alain Altinoglu. I mean, the guy's sitting pretty. And he's, recently been worked with Alan Gilbert at La Scala, with Alan Gilbert and the Leipzig Orchestra, and then with Anja Billmeyer, who's really interesting. She was live streamed last week. But he was with the Royal Stockholm Phil and Anja Billmeyer. So he does, and he also travels around with the pianist Dmitro Choni, giving recitals around Europe, basically. Janowski, he's been around for a long time. He's conducted all the leading American orchestras. He's guested at all the major opera houses. Like I say, he's been around since the late 70s. Need say no more. Two top guys and an interesting program. We're down now to the last of the orchestral works this week. And one of my favorite conductors, Tabita Berglund, with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. So much going on this week. There. I like Tabita Berglund. Principal guest conductor Tabita Berglund leads the Detroit Symphony Orchestra through the overture to Mozart's Figaro, Schoenberg's Verklärte Nacht, and Brahms' Piano Concerto No. 1 with top pianist Kirill Gierstein at the keyboard, Saturday night in Detroit, November 1st. This is, this is Viennese music. Mozart, Schoenberg, Brahms. That's the connection between them all. and she's very consciously exploring the development of musical styles in Vienna. She began her tenure as principal guest conductor of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra last year, and this year she's beginning the same post with the Dresdner Philharmonic. Last year she made a debut with the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra. She made her Salzburg debut at the Easter Festival with the Mozarteum Orchestra Salzburg. She comes out of the Norwegian Academy of Music first as a cellist, and then got into orchestra conducting. And before becoming a conductor, she played with the Oslo and Bergen Phil all the time. So, as for Kirill Gerstein, he's a Russian-American based in Berlin, taught at the Stuttgart Music Hochschule for about 10 years. And since 2018, he teaches at the Hans Eisler Hochschule in Berlin. He was live streaming with Alan Gilbert in Hamburg in September. And he's also recently been with the Netherlands Phil and the Swedish Radio Symphony. The Observer said of him, "This is a kind of serious, intelligent, and virtuosic music making that keeps classical music alive." It's hard to recommend somebody more than that. Check this out. Detroit Symphony Orchestra, always top of the line. And with a really fine, they're so lucky and I'm sure happy to have Tabita Berglund as their principal guest conductor and doing another fine program of musicological interest, among other things. And that's what we have for you in terms of orchestral live streams this week. But there's one more thing I got to tell you about, and we've gone over that 30 minutes, but I can't help it, folks. There's just so much going on, a dozen different performances to tell you about it, and I even skipped over one of them. Not that I wanted to, but I did. There's one more to tell you about, and now I have to find it. Here it is. And I can't do a full workup on this at all. I'm going to have to do a separate one, which is what I usually do anyway. Sunday, the splendid Vienna State Opera live streams yet another full-length production, free of charge. This time it's Debussy's Pelléas and Mélisande. Alan Altinoglu conducting, staged by Marco Morelli, a Vienna State Opera veteran, with Rolando Villazon, Kate Lindsay, John Taitkin, Monica Bohinek, and Simon Keenly-Side in the lead roles. Wow, that'll be at 7 o'clock in the evening, Sunday evening, European time. I will have to put out a separate, completely separate clip on that, as I am wont to do, giving you the details of the background of the different singers and more information about that whole deal. It's just, but those names I have just read off to you are already all top people. Folks, I hope that any of these live streams inspires you, uplifts you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. Let me remind you before signing off, do yourself a favor. If you're watching this on Facebook, like the video. If you're watching on our other platforms, don't just like the video. Follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn. And we'll continue to give you more than 1,000 live links to live performances online in the coming year. With that, I'll say ciao for now. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll be back tomorrow with the roundup of organ recitals and chamber music for this week.